Hello, and welcome to this Azure SSO integration with the Studio Learning Lab. And this is our very first of many learning labs in the months to come. And here we are going to be presenting with the Azure integration. So let's take a look at our agenda for today. Our session guidelines would include on what topics we need to be uh, covering. And here we'll discuss next on what the current challenges will be. Followed by that, we'll gauge on the learning objectives, followed by a step-by-step walkthrough, recap, and followed by Q&A. There will be plenty of time to ask questions at the end of the session. Please feel free to post the questions in the chat as we go through them, and we will respond to them at the end of the session. We are unable to address anything specific to product-related issues or tickets and cases during this time. So please reach out to your product support contact if you have any specific questions. So what are some of the current challenges for SSO? Some of the most legacy systems in the past have had challenges to support modern authentication systems such as SSO and making integration very difficult and expensive. User experience issues are one of the top use cases where current challenges influence SSO, where you are not able to implement it seamlessly, or sometimes due to the lack of knowledge, that leads to frustration and potential rejection of the system. We next address some of the security concerns by reducing password reuse and also enhance it creates a single point of failure. So if it is compromised, an attacker can easily gain access to the system. Let's take a look at compatibility problems next. With various different applications come different authentication mechanisms. So this makes it really a challenge to ensure smooth interoperability across all systems. Next, we'll finally look at testing and training, where we're unable to fulfill some of the rigorous testing requirements, and also training staff by ensuring that some of these systems are being either encountering issues or being misunderstood on how to use them effectively. So now let's journey with the team server. So just imagine that you have a company that's been bustling with some of the latest and greatest technologies, and they're juggling multiple applications. Every time a new task has to be implemented, they face the tedious process of logging in and out of different systems. So enter Team Server, a powerful project management tool that the company has adopted to streamline its workflows. And with the integration with single sign-on, a team server becomes an even more valuable asset amongst the employees. Now, employees can use their regular credentials that they've been using for other different SSO tooling. Now, with Team Server, we enable that smooth transition for you. This not only enables you to save time, but also enforces security by reducing password fatigue and risk of using reused passwords. So integrating SSO with Team Server helps you to transform the company's operations, making it easier for employees to collaborate and thrive in a secure and efficient environment. So what are our learning objectives for today? You have just acquired Team Server Core and now need to integrate with your existing SSO, single sign-on. So that's where we're going to be integrating it with Azure SSO, and we will follow these steps here in just a minute. So what are the Learning Lab demonstration objectives? Here we'll go ahead and cover the navigating to the Team Server configuration portal, as well as configuring Team Server to work with Azure SSO. Test the Azure user created in the Azure portal. Log into Team Server with the Azure login. and finally log in into Data Architect using that same SSO login. So now let's switch to the demo. So here we have our team server configurator. I'm just going to go ahead and log in. Here what we'll do is we'll navigate into the single sign-on area. And here you can see that I have enabled SSO. You can just check this box. At the very first instance, it will be disabled, but I've gone ahead and enabled this. Here you can pick Azure as the choice. And here you'll enter your tenant ID, your client ID, and your client secret. Once that is entered, you will go ahead and test the connection details. And there you go. You will have all of these here being configured and everything is looking good. Now, once this is done, how do you actually go and get all of these? I have gone ahead and visited the Azure portal, and there I have gone ahead and created an enterprise application called Team Server. I went ahead and created the tenant ID and client ID and a client secret. And followed by that, I went into the authentication area, which I will be sharing the link to our documentation here in just a bit. So where you can actually come in here and look at our documentation for the integration piece. So we'll navigate onto the team server area here. And here, if you look at the bottom, you'll have setting up SSO, single sign-on. And here, if you go in here, you can actually go ahead and register a team server with your authorized provider. Ours is going to be with Azure. So you click on that. And from here, we'll actually go into our portal.azure.com and make sure that you have all of these being set up. On the app registration, we'll go ahead and create, say, new registration. And for example, here we've registered an application page. We call it a name. You can use single tenant or multi-tenant. Here we have shown you as a multi-tenant. Once you click on register, it creates a new application with its application client ID, its object ID, and tenant ID. So here you can go ahead and generate that. And plus you can go ahead and generate a secret after the fact. And this secret, remember, it will be shown only once. After that, you will never be able to see the screen. So please make sure you copy all of these into a notepad file. And as you navigate there under the application, you can go into the API permissions page. And there under that, you can choose Microsoft Graph and choose delegated permissions from there. After the fact, you can just enable all of these offline access, OpenID, and profile. And click on Add Permissions. Next, finally, we'll go on to the authentication section and we'll choose a web application. And then we'll click on Configure Web. And after that, you can choose the appropriate redirect URLs, URIs, and check for the access tokens, which uses implicit workflow. This is very important. Now, this section, make sure you properly copy the redirect URLs, especially the last one for Data Architect. Now, one thing to keep in mind, all of these are using HTTPS. So for your team server, just make sure you have SSL configured so that you can actually have this to work. And make sure here, instead of using the desktop name, just use your host name and make sure you copy all of these under the list of URIs. Next, you can go ahead and copy, create a new user account in Microsoft Entra. And once you have done that, then you can go ahead and activate it here. So when I say here, I mean the go ahead and activate it by logging in after testing and updating the SSO provider here. You can click on test, make sure everything's good, then click on update, and it'll go ahead and save all the changes. Once you're done with it, you can just go ahead and hit log out and log back in to your main team server. And now you see that I have a login with SSO button enabled. So now I'm going to click on this once. And at the very beginning, you will see that it will ask you for your application and single sign-on ID. Here, since I've already gone ahead and done that, it's gone ahead and authenticated me through the access token already. So with that, now I can go into the People tab and notice that it will actually show me my SSO user here. So here, if I click on Anil Mahadev, I can actually see that I'm actually an SSO user. Excellent. Now, let's move on to the next part of the presentation. So what do we do now? We actually went ahead and configured, enabled SSO in Team Server Core. We added the user from the Azure portal, and finally, we tested it. Now, what I'll do is I'll show you our Studio Data Architect. So if I go into my Studio Data Architect, here you will see that I have logged into the repository. I'm just going to log out of here because I want to enable the single sign-on. And I'll log out of here too of my team server. Now notice that I put in the same host name, everything is there, and I've enabled HTTPS. This time, all I got to do is just choose login via SSO. Click OK. And this time what it'll do, it'll open up a new web page and it'll authenticate you via your SSO login. Since I've already authenticated, the web page goes back and here you go. I'm now authenticated. So now here, if I go into here, I can actually go and click on Get Diagram. And here you can see that I have all the list of all the different diagrams that I can bring in. So here I can just bring one of the diagrams from the repository. And there you go. So as an SSO, you can see that I have all of this here. So I can choose and look at all the users that have been logged in via SSO. So again, by default, if I double click here, you can see the user does not have permissions, so it's secure by default. I can still go ahead and view the data model. And in the security center as an admin, later on, I can configure this privileges on what I can or cannot do. So with that, get back to the slides. I would like to thank you for attending our very first learning labs and many more to come in the future. So with that, if you would like more information, you can visit us on the web at https://www.erstudio.com, or you can scan the QR code that you see on your screen and get more information. So with that, I would like to thank you for your attention, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.